And welcome. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is our weekly tarot energy forecast for March for March 15th. That's right. Through March 26th of 2019. How are you, everyone? I pray everyone is well and feeling very, very blessed. I'm so very grateful. As you may know, my 4D Trinity weekly live stream is now broadcast live, not only at YouTube, but over in the land of Instagram. If you're an Instagrammer, check it out. Follow me there. Check out my page. It is such a gift. I bless these platforms. I'm so very grateful. If you are a new subscriber, thank you so much. I've noticed a handful of new subscribers here at the channel. I'm so very grateful. I pray and I affirm that everything I share here, every single video, truly serves your path of spiritual growth and spiritual sovereignty. That's right. Join me at my website, tuesdaymaythomas.com. All of my links are down in the Show More box. When you subscribe at my website, you will receive my monthly love letter. The new one, the next one for March of 2019 will be coming out in the next week. It is there that I share my monthly blog, plus all sorts of exciting insights into the teachings I'm so guided to share with you, plus special things that only subscribers receive. So hop on that. If you're interested in my books, check them out. All the links are down below. And thank you, as always, for all of your donations to this channel. So we use the Osho Zen Tarot. And as you may know, what we do is we always start off with a card from the Voyager Tarot deck. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to take a moment to take a breath. We'll call in our angels and our guides and all of those divine light beings who love us. We call in our ascended masters, our animal medicine totems, and all those divine angels who are guided to be here with us, guided to share divine messages, to serve the alchemation and healing of our path now. We thank you and we thank you. And we did have a popper. I'm going to check it out. What is it? What could it be? Delusion. Oh my. 10 of crystals. Delusion. Let's check this delusion out. So I read from the Voyager Tarot book for our first card, Delusion. 10 of crystals. Okay, my friends, let's see what this 10 of crystals has to offer us. I'm going to hold up the card and read from the book, okay? Here we go. Delusion. Like synthetic crystals and artificial diamonds, the mind can be deluded into seeing what is not there, such as diamonds instead of glass. Your mind is creating illusions, seeing mirages, false suns and diamonds in the sky. Seeing only what you want to see, you are subject to false expectations, delusions of grandeur, and messianic thinking. Yet your pipe dreams and hallucinations make you an imaginative, far-sighted visionary. Follow your visions and dreams and remember that all great ideas are too far out for most and arouse opposition from mediocre minds. Go see if your thinking is fanciful or fortune-bearing. Take a risk. I really, really appreciate that. At first I was like, uh-oh, we're in delusion. We're in delusion. But then I see how there's that opposite side to it that speaks to, just being mindful of the visions that we hold and that we're perhaps guided to carry, and allow ourselves to be carried by the higher sight of them. Allow ourselves to be carried by that mystic gift of trust that does indeed push us into taking a risk, into spinning the wheel of fortune and seeing how things might show up when we get out of the way, which is really one of the main topics of this week's 4D Trinity. If you're new, every week I do a live stream, 4D Trinity, fourth dimensional consciousness, bridging that juicy spiritual energy into the 3D, learning all about metaphysics and spiritual growth, how to bring and to bridge the invisible into the visible world for the highest good of all. And this is so very interesting here. Also, I will just let you know while we keep shuffling that this week's 4D Trinity will be our monthly question and answer Ask Me Anything. So this coming Thursday, which is me and my dates, right? It's not really me and my dates. It's time and space. Time and space. Okay. The 21st of March. Oh my goodness. That's the solstice. Isn't that? I think that's the solstice. Yes. That is our spring solstice. Whoa. We're going to be having our once a month, Thursday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Ask Me Anything. You can hop on here in the comments. My email is down below if you have something a little more detailed, and you can send it ahead of time. I appreciate that. You can send it to my email. And for that 4D Trinity, I channel your higher self. We also use the Osho Zen, that your perfect message may be divined for you, for your divine guidance with regard to what you are asking and requesting light and illumination on. So I'm so very excited for this upcoming. Now, we did have a few poppers so far, but I'm still guided to go ahead and keep mixing our Osho Zen. And just as we did with our Voyager, we'll call in those angels, those divine guides, and all those light beings who love us to hold space and clear the way for the perfect messages to be divine. I sign myself into the keynote of everyone guided to watch, and I pray and I affirm that everything I share here truly serves everyone's path of spiritual growth and sovereignty. That everything I share here, everything that is channeled here, truly serves all that come by, that stop by, whether it's for 5 minutes, 1 minute, or that watch the entire show. May you receive what you have come here looking for. May you receive a divine nugget of inspiration, a divine message of synchronization that helps you bridge your own heaven on earth. And so it is. So we did have a bunch fall out, and I'm going to grab the one that fell on the floor. Let's get right into this. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh, there's more. Woo! All right, we're going to have to really make some headway. So, I'm going to sip some tea. Very interesting, because this delusion card speaks to, and didn't we have a similar dance going on last week? Speaks to these cards of the mind. Speaks to this aspect of morality, the conditioning card, the stories we've been told, the miser, the withholding of love, the holding on, the holding back, and the sorrow. So there are stories that delude you. There are stories that you are walking with now. And I understand that you are on a path of enlightenment. I understand that you are on a path of spiritual growth and sovereignty, that you are integrally seeking to be and embody and align with your higher self so that you can indeed live your true, most powerful life. And with that, what's happening during this retrograde period is there is an unearthing. There is an unearthing of all the parts of self that are ready to be unearthed. And what I'm getting is that this is not, these are no strangers in the way of, oh, that's a surprise, I didn't know that was in there. You know, these aspects are the deep subconscious rooted fear-based attachments that we have in this world. Now, whether it be to people, places, things, environments, outcomes, etc., these are the things that we know about ourselves, yet we forget until we remember again, until these cycles come back around. We remember again, and we are met with the remembering of these aspects of self that serve to say, hey, I'm back around. Are you ready to heal this to the next level? Are you ready to allow yourself to see things differently now? Are you ready to pull the plug on it? Are you ready to let go of that story? Are you ready to let your DNA be redefined and recalibrated without that story? Because your higher self, the higher part of you that really knows you, knows that that old story does not match the version of you that you are becoming. It only brings you sorrow. That old story is you trying to take a risk, yet deluded by visions of grandeur, by feeling attached to that which you are here to share. Through self-identifying so deeply with your vision, with the gift that you are here to share, that you can hardly pry yourself off of it, away from it, in order to allow yourself to be a vehicle for it to be extended through you. And so there is no heart here. There is simply this black and white justification of, no, I'm not going to take the risk. This is the fear. No, I'm not going to take the risk. I'm going to withhold, and I'm going to stay in tune with old stories that keep me aligned in me being something that I'm not. Because the truth of you is that you are a master, is that you are a divine spark of creation, of love, of God, of source. These stories do not reflect that. And during this retrograde, this period of reflection, this period of rest and renewal and reprogramming of self, we are set on notice to allow ourselves to be deeply honest with ourselves. And that's the first risk. That's the first level of risk, is allowing ourselves to shine the light, or in fact, get out of the way of where that divine light is shining, and see what is being shown to us, so that we move out of the delusion of grandeur that we might have about ourselves, or what it is that we are here, that we feel we are here to embody and be and bridge. There's a part of us that is trying to hold on. There's a part of us that is attempting to control it. There's a part of us that doesn't want to give it away, out of fear, out of self-identification, out of attachment, out of control. And really, that, in a very, very hidden, subtle, subconscious way, is what gives rise to a deep-rooted sorrow that upsets the balance, that does not allow you to feel free to take the risk, that does not allow you to feel free to know who you are in extending that gift, to know who you are in extending that divine passageway of self with the world. What I think is very, very interesting about this is that all these cards sit right next to past lives. You have been here before. You have been here before, my friend. And so have all those others that are around you, your lovers, your family, your friends, your colleagues. We've all been here before. We've been through the dress rehearsal of life. And guess what? Here we are, and now it's showtime. Now, this time around, it's time to take that risk and let it all go, give it all away. As some people like to call it or refer to it, is to make that sacrifice. Yet, it is only a sacrifice when we self-identify, when we think in attached ways with old stories of scarcity and of lack. Yet our higher selves know and constantly put us in tune and in attunement and in alignment with a greater knowing, with a greater awareness that you are infinitely connected to Source. And that the bigger the risk is actually not in taking a risk and giving it away, so to speak, and exploring the boundaries, the limitations that you've known while in the sorrow, in the miser, in the old story, but is rather to take the risk as the version of you that trusts, as the version of you that trusts everyone and everything will be provided for, and that in fact it is already done. In fact, it is already done. So where is it, my friend, that you know that is coming up, that is already starting to bridge its way up in your consciousness? What is knocking on the door and saying, I'm ready to be healed now. I'm ready to be relinquished. I'm ready to be resolved. So that you can take the risk without the risk of cutting yourself short. You know, when you are invited by God, by Source, by Love, by Universe to show up, say you have a project, you have a process, a vision, and it's very exciting to you, and whether you've been working on it for 2 months, 2 years, or 20 years, what if it's time for that cycle of opportunity to come around and that door to open for you? Do you want to go through that door as that old version of self that is showing up and in the ego sense thinking it's taking a risk just because they've made the appointment and they've got, you know, the layout of the project in a nice portfolio all set up? Or do you want to be that version of self that shows up with nothing to hide, that shows up, that is truly free and sovereign, that is a holder of space for that sacred vision, for that sacred project, that gift, that whatever it is that you are bridging here in an unattached way? And I pray that this makes sense, that you can be unattached to the outcome, that you can be unattached to you identifying with that thing. And it's this very interesting realm because, and I pray that higher self channels through and allows these messages to come as succinctly as they possibly can, because there is this very intimate, subtle line here that unless we really honestly look at ourselves, really honestly pay attention to what is being presented, we can coast over an aspect of self that is truly denying the true self. So in other words, do you want to show up to that meeting, right? Say you have this thing, this audition, this vision, this project, this whatever it might be, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the opportunity to do it, to show up, to do the thing, whatever that thing is. Now, what this reading so far is inviting us to be with is, when we get that opportunity, do we want to take that audition, share that presentation, etc., from the version of self that still has an attachment and a story of delusion attached to that which we are guided to share, to that which we are guided to birth and hold space for in this life, or not? Or do we wish to come into that presentation, that audition, that share and tell opportunity completely free, completely sovereign, completely unself-identified and unattached from that thing, from that vision, from that project, from that audition, from whatever it is? You see, there's this sacred space that is created when we let go. And so this dance of opposites, this dance of having such a strong hold and attachment through the ego to it, that your true authentic power and authority cannot be present with you when you present. And so in this retrograde period, how can you demystify, unfurl, pull out the weeds of self that would have you think in delusional aspects of grandeur about the self, you, your name, the ego, personality self, with regard to this presentation, this vision, this creation, this audition, whatever it is, right? There's a difference. Because, why is it important? It's important because that which comes forth from that audition, that presentation, etc., is going to be a reflection, is going to be based on what you present. And so, again, I pray that this is clear, that this is coming through, in a way that you get, because this is really, really poignant. You are coming into this retrograde is this reflection period, right? We're reversing, we're pausing, we're idling, we're reflecting, we're relaxing, we're restoring, we're renewing, recalibrating. And when it's time to shoot for the hoops, to make those calls, to do that audition, to do that thing, and even if it's now in this retrograde period, it's okay if it is. If it's called, that's what you're called to do. That's your path. Yet, unwinding from the self-identification from it, because when you show up to do that thing again, are you going to be the version of self that shows up, that is aligned with Source, with God, with love, with light, that is free, that is sovereign, that is allowing for the Most High, to come about through your presence in being there? Or are you going to show up with all the stories and so attract perhaps an opportunity, yes, but that opportunity will be based in reflecting the story that you show when you show up. Past life, you've been here before, you've done this before, and you know what? That panel, every person that you're guided to email about that project, every person that you're guided to connect with, that is guided to come to you, that you audition in front of, maybe it's a panel, they all know you from before. Imagine that. We've all done this dance with each other before. They know you from before. And they know you as your higher self. So in fact, the audition, the presentation, the communication is such that they will be giving you the opportunity and holding space for you again to take the risk to show up without the story, to show up fully free and available for you to channel your higher self, basically. For the filter through which they can then, your past life crew, the panel, the people on the other end of the phone, the people receiving your email, your file, your whatever it is, for them to say, ah, bravo, you're showing up, and without all that stuff, now I can give you more. You've been asking for more. You've been asking for more, my friends. You've been asking for more. How do I know? Because I've been asking for more. And we're all a reflection of each other. Yet if we are asking for more without letting go, we are not then taking the risk of letting go to create the correct conditions to receive more. So we end up receiving more of what was before. Right? So, to the next row, this is leading to a transformation. You know, your ability to surrender and to let go of the story, to let go of the ego identification with the project, with the presentation, with the audition, with the creation itself, is the alchemating force that gives rise to your ability to be reset, for your ability to heal, and for your channels, your Sushumna, your nadis, for all of your channels to be reset in the highest order. And that's always rooted in love. Rooted in love and rooted in light. And in that way, you can relax because you don't have to control. You realize you don't have to control the outcome. These versions of ourselves that are holding back, that know that they are here to share this gift, here to distribute and extend in such a way, yet have still this ego identification or attachment with whatever it is regarding just old stories that are ready to be purged and healed and put to death and blessed and released and forgiven and erased. As long as those are traveling with us, these are the voices, you see, that are in the head when you sit to meditate. See all those faces around you? Those are all the voices of attachment. Relinquishing voices of attachment. Turning in and meditating and allowing your meditations to show you with great integrity and impeccability, to really sincerely ask, perhaps, if this resonates, if these messages resonate with you, to ask, where is it, dear universe, that I can let go of holding on? Where is it, dear universe, that I can relinquish my need to have things be a certain way. Where am I holding on with control? Where am I trying to control? The uncontrollable. Because when you give way to God, to the mystic power of love to be carried, for your projects, your visions, your auditions, your creations to be carried and lifted in a higher way, you have to let go. And that is the exact moment that those powers of love can step in and carry you. And then you can relax. You can relax. The moment you give it to God, the moment you let go of your grip on it, is the moment that all those voices in your head have no more power. They cannot pull you here nor there, and the emotional waters of self come at once into a divine alignment. And look at that divine line from the center of their crown up through to source. You create a clear, divine connecting space that is undisturbable, that is rooted in your ability to trust, your ability to trust the process, your ability to let go and take the risk, take the risk of showing up in new ways. Take the risk of letting go, of holding on so tight, so that that audition, that project, that vision can actually return to you an infinite fold, even bigger, even brighter, even more amazing and mystically charged than it would if you're holding on and just giving from that squeezed place, from that holding place. That's the real risk here that we're invited to explore. From March 15th to March 26th, and I know mine has come up. Mine has come up in this last week. I've written several energy letters. I've burned them. I've been praying and journaling and meditating and getting really clear, because during this Mercury reset, we have this opportunity to redefine many notions and many patterns. And isn't it beautiful that then come this divine spring equinox? I think it is the equinox. Or is it the solstice? I think it is the equinox. That come the spring equinox, it's that we can show up in the expanded version of self that is not inhibited by the miser, by the holding, grasping, self-identifying, ego self. It's just really very powerful. Yes, I've been through this myself in this last week. And I feel that it is a probable cause of this physical upgrade condition that I'm experiencing currently, because there is a release. If you watch the 4D Trinity, you watch my other metaphysical videos, right? This is the dropping of atoms, the dropping of the story, the relinquishing of control, the complete surrender to Source, to God, to love, to light, that allows. That's a risk to the ego. That's a risk to the story. That's a risk to the miser who holds on. That's a risk to the ego, to the fear-based realities of lack and scarcity. Yet it is the greater risk to not do that work. It is the greater risk to keep going forward in delusion, delusions of grandeur, that think only of themselves and not of the greater whole. What's happening? Wow, this is so very powerful. What's happening in this realm, and we're going to go through this spring equinox during this time, is this thunderbolt. So listen, when you allow yourself to let go of those old stories, so this is the Kundalini rising. This is the thunderbolt of electrical activity within your being. Yet we create the correct conditions for that happenstance, for your healing, for the Kundalini to rise. When we still hold on to the old stories, right? Again, there's no room for that divine mystical force to come in and ba-bang, and to shake clear and cleanse what's ready to be gone and purged from us, the stories, the patterns, the fears, the control, the manipulation, the subtle ways that the tar body talks you into thinking that you need to keep holding on to these aspects in order to survive, in order to thrive. These are just stories. There is a higher version of yourself that is ready to be integrated. There is a much higher order of self that is ready to be integrated. Your higher self is ready to walk with you. Your higher self is ready to integrate with you, to walk with you as you step into that audition, to walk with you as you write your emails, to write with you, to speak through you, to see through your vision, to navigate your divine path, so that when you do take that risk and you do show up and you do present yourself, your ideas, the unifying force that connects all minds is given the right of way. We are the world. That's the 0 point. That's where you've relinquished and you've realized that there is that oneness in all of creation, and that you are divinely a part of that oneness. And it is through that oneness that the 0 point of the heart is activated. And this is the point, is that which version of you is going to show up, right? After this retrograde, or I don't know what our next reading is going to be, around the 27th, of this month. Which is funny enough, when I think Mercury is going to station and go into its then latter shadow period, but then around then it's going to be done with its full-on retrograde. So we have this week to really sweep under the rug, so that as we show up, we're showing up free and sovereign, free to be the bigger versions of self. And when you show up and you share your creations, your audition, your word, your body, your voice, your energy, your panel of past life beings that know you, they know you as your higher self, they know you as your lower self too. But when you show up in that 0 point self, the we are the world self, the I am aware of unity consciousness self, and I am aware that I'm here to share my divine grand vision in the highest, most beautiful ways. When that is allowed and given the right of way, that panel of past life professions, they see you, they see it, they feel it, and that is what takes you on the next part of your journey, on the next part of your passage. There is a sense that if we do not allow that, if we do not take the risk, excuse me, and allow these parts of self to be healed, in not doing that, there is a waiting. And really, what are we waiting for? We are waiting for ourselves to show up, for ourselves to be willing to take the risk, to let go of the version of self that we thought we were. Because look at her, she's pregnant. That's you, male or female, with the vision, with that spark of divine in yourself. With your creation, your projects, all the things that you're here to give birth to. Yet as long as you're holding and self-identifying, and believe me, and I talk about this often, there is that divine balance, between, if you know you have something sacred here to share in this world, and I feel this way with the grid teachings, with the heaven on earth teachings, the fourth dimensional consciousness teachings that I get to share here. There is a responsibility for holding space with as much impeccability and integrity as we can for that vision, for that movie, for that vision, that book, that new sketch in your architect pad, for that new patent that you have. You're not necessarily going to go post it everywhere before you've listened to higher self and taken the correct conditions, created the correct conditions, taken the correct course of action. so that those teachings, that vision, that whatever it is that you will be presenting is supported in the most high ways that are divinely guided by God, by Source. And again, you distribute and share as you are guided, and not anything more. And in that way, you can rest assured that the Most High is taking place for you and for the highest good of all. So, are you going to keep waiting for yourself to show up and take the risk to let go of the delusion, of the ego hold on whatever it is, so that your journey can commence? Your journey is like, it's like a vortex. It's just waiting. It's waiting to take you. It's waiting to take you. Now, which version of you is going to go in the elevator? Which version of you is going to go in the elevator on this journey? And that's the question that we get to sit with this week. And chances are, if you're watching this, you know there's something is up. And you know, if you're really honest with yourself, you'll know. Yeah, there's that thing. There's that thing that I keep projecting on my husband, my wife. There's that thing that I keep holding on to and I keep trying to control. I keep withholding my love. I keep withholding the information. I keep withholding, XYZ, LMNOP, and whatever given situation, out of fear, out of control, out of a lack consciousness. And look at this, the two cards that just fell out. Consciousness and politics. So that's exactly what we're dealing with. We're dealing with taking the lower mind, the masks of self, the tar body, the parts of us that keep flipping. The tar body will keep telling you what it thinks you need to hear in order to think that you can be safe. It'll keep telling you a new story of why you need to keep holding on, of why you can't let go, of why you can't take the risk, of controlling, of why you can't let go of control. Because that is a risk, right, to the ego, to this version of you that wears many masks. And believe me, there's a version of that in all of us, to this version of us. That is a real risk. That is a real threat. But to the version of you that meditates, and what do we say here? Meditate, meditate, meditate. Move that energy from fear to love. Consciously move that energy from fear to love. And in that way, go within and alchemate those voices of fear, of control, that think that it needs to manipulate people, time, places, and situations in order to get things to happen the way that it needs them to happen for some elusive sense of safety. We are guided this week to relinquish the delusion of that ego self. Because remember, what we've been going through is realizing that we are masters. We are masters. We are masters here. And so there is a refining. There is a returning to source and a further calibration of Kundalini, a further purge, a further cleanse. And maybe that means a physical calibration, right? It's always a multidimensional calibration, mind, emotion, body. Yet the way it shows up for each of us might be different. For some it might be more emotional, for some it might be more in the physical, and for some it might just be a full-on mind, wow, a shift in consciousness. And really, ultimately, it's all of that, right? But the way that we predominantly maybe interface or experience it will lay in one path or another. And so this is deep this week, my friends. This is a week to be really honest with ourselves. Because as a master, again, we are a constant student. And we are at a constant invitation to continue refining and distilling and impeccabilizing our integrity, so that no matter where we go and what we do, everything is imbibed and imbued with love, with truth, with the authentic integrity of that 0 point energy that unifies and connects all people, places, and things, that creates heaven on earth. Yet as long as we're still bound and unwilling to take the risk to let go of control, we will be bound to the gravity of the grids in this world. And so susceptible to the limiting, although be it they may be opportunities that come your way when you present whatever it is from the limited notion, if you keep holding on to that control, sure, you can have opportunities, yet those opportunities will also be those ones that are bound in the 3D, that will not ultimately liberate you. And it's whatever you want to do. But this reading is here to tell you that you have a choice. You have a choice this week, my friend. Wow, that is so powerful. I'm so very grateful. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for being a part of this community. All of the new subscribers, thank you so very much for hopping on. If you have not done so yet and you resonate with my teachings, go to my website, TuesdayMayThomas.com. My website address is down below in the Show More box, and subscribe at my website for my monthly love letter. I send out a newsletter every month called a love letter with a monthly blog and information on my teachings and my books. And there are links to my books down below if you'd like to subscribe or rather, follow me on Instagram. My link is down below. I go live every Thursday with my show, 4D Trinity, where we bridge fourth dimensional consciousness through the unity of mind, body, and emotions with spirit. We get to know spiritual avenues, metaphysical understandings, and this week's 4DT once a month. We do a Q&A, Ask Me Anything. Again, my email is down below. You can email me your question or hop on the day and put your question in the comments. Thank you for your donations to this channel and for just being here, being a part of this community. I thank you so very much with all of my heart. Namaste and blessings, everyone. Blessings, blessings, blessings.